Hey guys, and welcome! Today we're going to be talking about what to expect when you're bringing home your new baby snake. Baby snakes, or hatchlings as they are called, are often what first snake buyers are choosing to bring home, even though some people might be better off buying a subadult or even an adult snake, because they are already getting used to being handled and they probably already have a very good feeding schedule. Baby snakes, they are amazing, they truly are, and I myself has raised snakes from being very young until being adult. And here I can talk about both Queenie, my corn snake, and of course Noelle, my ball python, as an example. Getting home a baby snake is very exciting, and I can totally understand why many people choose to buy a young snake, and I can only recommend it because there is something truly special and something truly unique about getting home this very young snake. Perhaps it's only a few months old, and then watching it grow. There is something very magical about it, so I can only recommend it. And that is also why I've put together this video, because I thought that there might be a few things that you as a new baby snake owner might want to know. The first thing that I really want you to know is that baby snakes, they will most likely be hiding all the time. That means they will hide in their hide, or maybe they will even burrow down in the substrate, and you really won't see them that much. I often say that snakes, they are most active during nighttime, and that is true also, but you might not even see your baby snake out at nighttime. This behavior, however, is very normal for baby snakes. In the wild, they are very vulnerable, they're very fragile, so they really need to take care of themselves, and they are very small, so they don't really have a big chance of defending themselves, whereas an adult snake has a much bigger chance to defend itself. So do know that when your baby snake is hiding all the time, it's just doing it because that is what seems most natural to it, and they are going to stay like this until they are feeling more comfortable. To wrap it all up, your baby snakes will most likely be hiding all the time, and that can go from a few days until a couple of months. The next thing that I really want you to know is that they probably won't eat the first time you're trying to feed them. It's not unnatural when you're getting home a new snake, whether it's a baby, a subadult, or even an adult, that they might not want to eat the first time you offer them food. And that's simply because they're not too comfortable with the surroundings just yet. The best thing that you can do is to just wait it out. Give it a little bit more time. You can even try to just leave in the rodent during the night and then, leave the snake alone. Perhaps it's already eaten when you go to check on it the next day, but don't worry too much if the snake won't eat immediately. Wait a few more days and then just try again. But most of all, you need to be patient, and of course you need to make sure that the setup that the snake have is as best as it can be. The third thing that I really want you to know is that the first shed might be bad. That is not only true for when you're bringing home your baby snake, but again also for subadults and adults. It is not unheard of that the shed might not be too great the first time. It might come off in pieces or might not even come off at all. But the second shed, that one should be as close to perfect as possible. If you're still having issues with the shed after the second or maybe even the third time, I'd recommend that you have a look at your humidity and your general setup for the snake. Humidity and shedding is a funky thing, and it can be a little bit difficult to get it quite right. So I've made some videos, I've linked to them down in the description of this video, on how to make sure that your humidity is correct and what to do if your snake is having a bad shed. But do know that when you're bringing home your first snake, the first shed might be bad, but do know that this is not a bad thing. It does happen, and as long as the second shed is as close to perfect as we can get, then everything is completely fine. The next thing that you should probably know if you're bringing home your baby snake is that they might be a tad defensive. And perhaps you find this strange because when you bought it, you had it out, you handled it, and perhaps everything was fine. And now you brought home your baby snake, you put it in a terrarium, and then suddenly it starts getting all defensive, meaning it will perhaps rattle its tail like it's a little rattlesnake. It might even hiss at you, or it might show this threatening posture, which can be the S position, or it might even look like it's trying to push you away with its body. Also know that this is completely normal behavior. As I said before, baby snakes from the nature side, they are very vulnerable, so they really need to take care of themselves and they need to be very, very careful. So this being defensive is all part of the package when they're growing up. Most likely they are just bluffing, and if you try to pick them up, they will most likely not attack you, but do know that there is a possibility that they will. Then you might be asking, well, should I take out the snake or not? My recommendation for you is to leave the snake alone for a good while, and don't worry too much about it being aggressive and then you'll never ever get to handle it, because you will. But do know that baby snakes especially, they do need time. They need time to relax and they need time to grow. So the best thing you can do if you're having a little baby snake that is turning a bit defensive, hissing at you, throwing some attitude at you, the best thing you can do is to leave it alone. Make sure that the baby snake has everything it needs inside its terrarium. That means hide, proper substrate, water, and of course the most important thing, which means that it's on a feeding schedule, that it is feeding regularly. Because as the snake grows, it will lose this attitude probably. The next thing that's pretty good to know, if you do decide to take out your snake, then be aware that it might even musk on you. And musk, that is some sort of liquid that the snake has inside. It's a defense mechanism and it smells really, really bad. It's not dangerous for you or anything like that, but it does smell very bad. So if you take out your snake and it is musking on you, do know that this is a defense mechanism, and that means that the snake is very, very uncomfortable. My recommendation for you would be to, depending on how this is happening, if it is happening the very first time you take out the snake, put it back, give it some time. But if you have had the snake for a couple of months and it's feeding and everything is good, shed is good, and you're trying to handle it on a more regular basis and it still happens, then my recommendation for you would be to continue, because the snake needs to learn that handling is not scary and you're not trying to harm it. But be very careful about it. Don't try to stress it out too much. Take it out maybe 2 to 3 times a week and then keep it for like 10 minutes at a time, and try to be very, very gentle with the snake, being very slow, being very calm motions when you're having it out. Don't clench it, don't shake it, of course, but try to be as calm as you probably can. The musking will most likely go away. Earlier I talked about how snakes, they will most likely come out to explore their new surroundings, and of course your baby snake will do that too, but it might take some time. And do know again that this is normal. It will go out to explore, especially if you've put out branches that will allow it to climb and stuff like that. But again, baby snakes, they do need time. That's the best advice I can give you. Give them time. Last but not least, my final advice for you who is having a baby snake and who is a bit worried about the snake not coming out, not being able to handle and all that stuff. Give it time. And first of all, let the snake grow, which means feed it a steady diet and don't overfeed it. Don't try to speed up the process, because it takes the time that it's gonna take, and that's just how it is. But do know that once the snake is growing, once it's become bigger, it will calm down. It really will. Queenie, for example, oh, she had an attitude when she was younger, but now she's a calm snake, and she's full of energy. The cornsnakes are, but she's calm. She's never hissed in her adult life. She's never bitten. She's never shook her tail at me or anything like that. So do know when you're bringing home your first baby snakes that the first couple of months, maybe even up to 6 months, might not be that interesting on your part. But this is where you really have to show who you are as a caregiver, who you are as a reptile owner. Your top priority when having baby snakes is making sure that their environment, the substrate, the water, the hiding, the temperatures, that everything is as perfect as it can be and as nurturing as an environment as you can give the snake as possible. And I promise you that you will be rewarded in the end, because you will have a healthy snake, and you will have a snake that will have no trouble being handled, who is just overall a joy to be with. I really hope that this video answered some of your questions. If not, feel free to post them down in the comment section. If you have more advice for people who are buying baby snakes, just post them there as well. I'm sure every one of us would love to hear it. If you did like the video, please give a like. It really does help me out a lot. And if you want to see more, you're welcome to subscribe. Thank you guys so much, and bye bye!